Welcome to the Get Paid podcast. I'm Claire Pelletreau, and this is the show that's dedicated to giving you an honest look at the reality of running an online business. Basically, I ask people how much money they make, how much they pay themselves, and how much they have to spend to make that kind of money. We're talking real numbers here. Plus, what is the emotional cost, the mental cost to run these kinds of businesses? I've been working on online marketing behind the scenes of 7- and 8-figure businesses since 2013. And I kid you not when I say I have seen it all. Right now, I have a lot of questions for the people who are making it work. This episode is sponsored by my free masterclass, the 5-ad formula that sells online courses on autopilot. People ask me all the time, but how do I even get started with Facebook and Instagram ads? I'm so overwhelmed just thinking about it. Yeah, I hear you. There is nothing that torpedoes my own progress like a million different options. That's why I recorded this masterclass to teach you about just 5 ads that you can use to sell more of your online course, group program, or mastermind. When you sign up, you have the option to watch the training or to listen to it on our private podcast feed. That means right here in the app that you're using to listen to the show, you can actually get the training in there and take it with you on the go. Whichever way you get the info, what I want is for you to choose just one of the ads to focus on to start. Get instant access to the training at clairepells.com/5ads. That's clairepells.com/ and then the number 5 and the word ads. No spaces, 5 ads. Cool? All right, it's time for this week's episode. And go. Tarzan K, welcome back to the Get Paid podcast.
She's back. I'm so happy to be back. I love this podcast.
Thank you so much. You know, I think a lot of my listeners are here today listening because of you.
Oh, Joy. Bless you for saying that.
No, but bless you because you were the one I remember going to that event in early 2019 where you would just walk up to me and whoever I was talking to and be like, have you heard Claire's podcast? I'm obsessed with it.
Oh,
so thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, one of my highest values in my business is it's literally written into our mission and values, honesty and transparency. And you're doing such a fine job of that.
Thank you very much. It's fun for me and only sometimes awkward. Yeah. Okay. So tell the good listeners, 1, what your pronouns are, and 2, how you get paid.
Okay. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I get paid on salary through my company. And my company sells digital training programs about email marketing and copywriting.
Great. And when you were on the show in early 2019, your focus, I felt was branding yourself as this very successful person. In fact, you talked about, was it David Bowie?
Yes.
What was that thing?
Yes. I had this quiz called What's Your 80s Pricing Persona? And, David Bowie was one of the avatars you could be, because he, right from the beginning, before anybody knew who he was, he carried himself like this rock star, and he had an ostentatious way of dressing, and he took limos everywhere. And he was just I think it's different from fake it till you make it. He was just living who he really was. He wasn't waiting for someone to say oh yeah, that looks good. Why don't you kick it up a notch? He just went all the way. And I definitely did that too. I don't even talk about anything like that anymore. It's I forgot that was something I used to teach. I don't talk about that anymore, but I definitely learned a lot. And that did serve me really well to show up in that way.
It did serve you. Let's be honest, you kind of rose your audience, your revenue, all of that got pretty high, pretty fast, probably because of this attitude of yours.
Well, I think there's a lot of things. I think, yes, because of this attitude.
Because of that,
yeah, of course, not only. Yeah, but along these same lines, something that I wasn't aware of back then was how much I was leveraging my beauty, my privilege, all of my dominant identities, that they just like, I thought anybody could do that. I was like, yes, just like dress like David Bowie, like you're a star. And I mean, of course, anyone can have a bit of that flavor, but I was so unaware at the time. Like, I didn't even think of like, what is privilege? Gosh, I don't really know. Do I have it? But in retrospect, I'm like, wow, okay, this is a bit like, I feel conflict when I revisit that person who taught things like that, because in online business, women especially are definitely like, there's a sort of underlying message that like what you need to be successful is like beautiful pictures and like beautiful makeup and like wear beautiful shiny clothes and like show off, like to basically build a following based on your likability rather than your actual expertise. And I mean, that worked for me. Like I did that. And I feel a lot of conflict about a lot of the things I did in my early years in business. And I have spent the last few years repairing and figuring that out.
Can you talk more about that? Like, what would you say was the tipping point or the turning point, whatever you want to call it, whatever metaphor that is? What kind of made you make this change? Because, yeah, I mean, to be honest, you seem to be doing great in a way that to me appeared to be fine. But,
yes,
you know, again, this was also sort of pre-examining privilege.
Yes.
I know that, like, I remember listening to you talk about kind of this like celebrity type not mindset, but identity, and being like, ugh, because just for me, but not because of you, Tarzan. It was about what I felt comfortable doing. But guess what? When I finally got a pretty photo shoot and I had the hair and the makeup and the images, I was suddenly able to sell better. Everything I put together, webinars, sales pages, whatever, they just looked better. They looked more polished. And therefore I had more confidence.
Yes, which is like, I'm not saying I want to throw all that in the garbage. Beautiful branding is so important. Having beautiful, like if you are a personal brand, you are the leader. Yes, like beautiful images are important. And having an image that you took of yourself in your living room definitely could be detrimental. So I don't, you know, there's aspects of this that we can keep, and there's aspects of it that we just need to be more aware of. So for me, this transition, there was a series of things that happened back to back. And the undercurrent of, so I was on this podcast in 2019, you know, leading up to fall of 2019, I was like starting to be quite successful in my business. I think that year, my business revenue was around $800,000. I was very pleased. And I also was aware that there were some problems. Like I was making more money, but I was no longer feeling more fulfilled by it. In fact, I was feeling more consumed by it. And I was feeling like my thoughts were completely consumed by my business. I didn't feel present in my children's lives. My youngest son would have been 1.5 around then. Like, I just felt like something was missing. I didn't feel like I had a real true mission and purpose beyond just making heaps of dough, or what I perceived as heaps of dough. So I was just feeling a little bit unfulfilled and a little bit lost at that time. Like, I didn't know what am I really doing this for?
It did not look that way.
It didn't look that. Yeah.
This is what I loved about this show, because we get to see, I mean, like, I remember one time, it was years ago, just how triggered I was by seeing all of this, like what looked like people having so much fun without me, and like having no clue about what was really going on with people.
Yes, so totally. Yeah. This is a really good point, and it was why it's so important for us to share the highs and the lows. But because, you know, what you saw was also true. I was like loving life. Like I remember that summer in August 2019, like going to a Stu McLaren conference and like having lunch with Amy Porterfield and Jeff Walker and being like, okay, I'm sitting at lunch, and Shaw Wasmond, like with these like 3 like very powerful people, and me sitting at this table and feeling so lucky to be there. And also like, there's something like, here I am. I'm at the table. I'm literally at the table with these people, and they're wonderful, wonderful people. I love them. And also, like, this ain't it. Like, this isn't what I'm working towards. So following that, I hosted this live event. I wrote a blog post about this live event. I don't really want to go into all the specifics of it, but after I did this live event, sold a mastermind program for $10,000, and it was exhausting. I don't know that I ever want to do an event again. That was so much work. Didn't have a team. Like, wow, that was a lot to take on. Very ambitious. After, I got an email from someone who had been at the event, and she was like, I want to tell you, first of all, I want to withdraw my application for your mastermind. And I want to tell you, like, in no uncertain terms, what the experience of your event was like for me as a brown Muslim woman. And she she was incredibly articulate. And, she pointed out some things like our speaker lineup were all white people, and as were our staff, and as were our most of our guest mentors, and what that was like for her, and what, how she was treated at the event. And, she also gave a very beautiful critique of this charity pitch that we had integrated into the whole event. Like, she was very clear. It wasn't emotional, and it really, like, melted my soul down. I was like, oh fuck, like, wow, I have like a lot to learn. And so that was the beginning for me of like starting to examine, like, what is my responsibility here, and how are these issues of racial injustice and unconscious bias, like, how am I perpetuating them in the way that I run my business? So that was a big new line of questioning that was previously not there. Plus this other line of questioning, what am I actually trying to do here? How am I, like, what is my goal? What is my mission? And it was shortly after that I started working with psychedelics. Is that okay to talk about on the show?
Totally.
Okay, great. So I started working with psychedelics shortly after that. And that,
what does that mean?
It started by doing a guided mushroom journey with a qualified facilitator. And that was like something that I went into very intentionally, knowing that I needed direction in my business, in my life, like just knowing that there would be information there for me. And it takes a whole day, and then there's integration afterward. And that first trip that I ever did, it's hard to put this into words and synthesize it into one trip, because since then I've done many journeys and continued that work, but it really like shifted my whole worldview and forced me to start like, oh my gosh, there's one other major event before the trip. I have to rewind a second. So I went to see my coach, and I was in session trying to figure out why I was feeling lost and, not really knowing what to do. And she was like, well, what do you believe in? And I was like, huh? I don't know. What do I believe in? I don't know. Jesus. So she very lovingly was like, listen, lady, what you are chasing, this thing you're doing here, like, you bought the lie of patriarchy, and you're climbing this ladder, and the only thing at the top is more fucking ladder. And that like totally cracked my world open. So the journey that I did after that was like, okay, if my goal is not just make more money, like, what is it? What am I doing? And in that first trip, I got some very clear guidance that like my work here is like beyond what I do in my business. I am here as a storyteller, because our stories are how we connect human to human and how we get through the sticky parts of life. And like, this is my job. This is one of my main jobs that came through in the first journey. And there was also a big shift in my worldview, which is hard to put into words, and I don't even want to try right now. However, it was the start of me looking at how some of the marketing tactics I had been using were harming people. And that, like, part of that piece is starting to think about unconscious bias, racial justice, why like some of the tactics people teach like work for some people and not others. So I started to look at that, and that journey of re-examining how I do marketing. Like, this all started, gosh, I've been saying 18 months for a while, but it's starting to be 2 years. But looking at marketing in a different way, like that, maybe I've been doing that. Like it's been a slow burn. It's like, oh, okay, maybe I could possibly slow down on promoting everything. Like, I did one promotion that year and I was like, this doesn't quite something feels off. And my subscribers are reacting. It's not selling very well. And also people are like, what is this? What's Tarzan doing? Which was deeply saddening because it was such a beautiful promotion. I worked so hard on it. The writing was so beautiful. The graphics were so beautiful, but I also knew I couldn't do it again. Something just wasn't.
Sorry, which year was that?
This was 2019.
Oh, okay. So that was a promotion you did in 2019 and it wasn't.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then later that year, another affiliate promotion didn't do what I expected it to. And so I realized there's a few things. I realized I really needed to start focusing on my own products, because a huge part of my revenue for many years was revenue from affiliate promotions. And I was putting so much time, like I would say like 200% more effort into my affiliate promotions than I was putting into my own products. And I was like, okay.
Why do you think that was?
Well, I mean, I love the lure of affiliate marketing. It's like because I love promoting. So if I could just promote all the time, like like the delivery is a whole nother thing. So like if I can sell someone else's thing and they deliver on it, well, I love that. Like I still love that. And I'm not against affiliate marketing at all. It was just something was way out of balance. And I just took it a bit too far with what I promoted. Like, I think you do have to be, you still have to be serving your people. And they were just feeling like I was throwing stuff in front of them to make the most money possible. So I decided to give myself a year off doing affiliate promotions. And I'm just like, it's been almost a year. And that was, like that was hundreds of thousands in revenue that I no longer have. However, I do feel in the meantime, I created a brand new copywriting program, which I'm crazy proud of. Like I put my whole heart and soul into it. It's very affordable, which is something I also didn't have before. It was affordable, really very affordable products. So, we just really, like, my team and I really dove deep into our own products and making them better and, improving our delivery process, like getting better results for our students, being more honest about the work that it takes. And just like putting affiliate programs aside allowed me to I also was aware that there was a big imbalance in my business that needed to be corrected, which was that I was spending like 80% of my time promoting things and maybe 20% delivering. Like, it just felt like it didn't feel really, something felt out of alignment there. And I felt like, out of respect for these people who are giving me their money, I needed to focus more on delivery. And, so I have this new program. I also created a low ticket offer, which was really exciting to me to be able to offer something that's really valuable for $27. Like, I feel so proud of that product we created called the Course Launch Copy Kit. And it's a beautiful product. We're proud that we can offer something low cost. And then my main program, Email Stars, that also has been slowly like being fleshed out. Like, it's a better program. Huge portions of it have been re-recorded to take into account that, like, the way that I market has changed, because there's certain things that I no longer would consider ethical according to my own values. So, oh my gosh, Claire, I don't even know. It's been such a journey in the last 18 months, 2 years. Like, my last year in business, I was really excited because we made over $1 million for the first time. And,
2019 or
2020 financial year ending in 2020. And I'm a little like, we're definitely not coming. I don't want to say anywhere near that. Like we're doing okay, but I have been grateful for like wage subsidies from the government. Let me say that. I've been very grateful for that. And our profit margins are not what they were. However, I don't want that to like reflect on the industry as like, if you market according to your values and you follow your intuitive like drive, like you won't like, I don't think I'm sacrificing the revenue that I would have made under this patriarchal model of like make the most money possible. I am very much still figuring it out. And I have given myself time to figure it out. We are nowhere near the end of it, but we figured out a lot of things. Like I feel like we have a mission and values that we read every single week as a team. We're like way more aligned in our goals and we hold each other to our values. The systems in my business are far more fleshed out than they were before. And I feel one of the biggest transitions I have made since I spoke to you last is when we spoke, my business was my identity. It was like, I am my business. And now when I talk, like I catch myself sometimes talking about my business in the first person, like we are one and the same. But for the most part, I don't do that anymore. Like I think of myself as a business owner. I have this corporation. It does these things. Like it is not me, just as the programs are not mine. They are not my students. They are our students. It is our programs. It is our goal here at Tarzan K Global. And that is a beautiful transition because it's messy when you mix up your own identity with your business identity. So that is like, there have been some foundational shifts in the last year, let's say, and it will be interesting. You'll have to do a where are they now in 2 years? It will be interesting to see what grows now that we have this like very well, like, there's a lot of compost that went on the soil and it is like ready to grow something beautiful. And I don't know what that will be yet.
So let me ask you, what were you selling in 2020 that got you past $1 million that you are, well, just that, what were those things? I mean, obviously there were some affiliate promotions that you're not doing anymore.
Yes. I had 2 affiliate promotions that I would have done that year. That would have been, let's say in the neighborhood of 300,000. And we have our main program, Email Stars, which probably would have made also in the neighborhood of 300,000. There would have been some client revenue in there for sure. I was doing probably a decent amount of one-to-one client work, maybe $50,000 to $100,000 worth of client work.
Was that might have been VIP days or
probably VIP days? Yes. Mostly that is what I've done in terms of client work for most of my career. Oh, and there was a point where I probably would have also had a mastermind. So that could easily have accounted for another 300,000 or so. But that is one thing that I have also cut from my offers. And that's probably the biggest revenue source and the biggest potential revenue source that it feels like is sort of dancing around me all the time. Like, should I do that again? But as I realized as I was going through all these changes that I had so much to learn and I really didn't feel equipped to be a leader. Like I didn't feel like I don't know. I was concerned that people would be wanting to pay me $10,000 for a mastermind program because of my name. And I wasn't sure that I could really deliver on that. So I just suspended all mastermind programs, which is like, that's probably could have been among our biggest sources of revenue and still could be. I don't know that I'll ever do it again. So to summarize, affiliate offers, my main program, Email Stars, private client work, a mastermind program. And I also had a few like low cost programs. I had an evergreen funnel. I had a few $200 workshops. So there would have been, some of that sprinkled in there too.
Okay. Let me ask you about this question of the mastermind. So you didn't feel great about the idea of somebody possibly paying you $10K because of your name.
Yes.
Why do you say that about your name versus you as a mentor, business owner?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're not somebody who should be a mentor?
Oh, that is a very big question. I think, okay, I encountered this problem when I was doing my copywriting because I've been great at marketing myself. And I got a lot of love from Amy Porterfield, and a lot of her people just wanted to hire me because they wanted to, whoever writes for Amy, to write for them. That must be what I need to be successful. And a lot of people were coming to me that really, like, I didn't believe that they were in a position to get the return on investment. And I didn't feel good about them paying me $2,500 a day for a sales page when they, couldn't also afford to do the design and get someone to write the emails and like pull a whole funnel together. I just would like have people coming to me looking for a magic bullet. And I would be like, yo, like, I know this isn't it. This is not a good use of your money. Like, I could sell you on it, could probably sell you 2 or 3 days. However, I just didn't feel right about that. So that sort of conversation's been happening in my head since, my second year in business. But yeah, there is a bit when it comes to the mastermind thing, like, yes, people would be paying me for mentorship, for my expertise, and for, my experience. Like, I do have a lot of it. I have a lot. I enjoy my Q&A calls for my programs. Like, I do have a lot to give. I don't know. Because I'm re-examining all these ways that this, like, particularly the online business and digital course industry kind of gets you. I just started to feel like I don't want people to pay me $10,000 because they think I'm cool and they want me to be their friend. And that does legitimately happen. Like, I had a sales call with this person, I remember, in early 2020. She wanted to do a VIP day, which would have been about 10 grand at the time. And she ended up not doing it. But then my next promotion, which was a $3,000 program she didn't really need, she just bought it. And she told me, she was like, oh, I just really want to buy something from you. I'm really excited to work with you. And I was like, ew, I don't think that is the right reason to, like, just like, okay, I have this power now. And this is something that I've been learning a lot from Kelly Deals in her program, Feminist Copywriting, among other trainings that she has. Like, power itself is not inherently bad, but it is very important to be conscious of your power and be conscious of how you, like, of right use of power. And that person buying a $3,000 thing they don't need because they like me, that is a perfect example of, like, not right use of power. So that just feels like, I mean, there's a lot there. Like, yes, do I have it? Like, I love my mastermind program. Like, I am so grateful for the mentorship. I'm so grateful for the group that I'm in. Like, I love it. I have no problem paying, like, I don't know, maybe it was like $30,000 or something. It was a lot. And I'm so grateful that I have it. So I'm not against people paying large sums of money to be in such a group. I just haven't quite worked through my internal dramas and just my legitimate questions around that quite yet.
Okay. I see what you mean about that. Like, let me pay you a lot of money because I like you.
Yeah. Or because I bought something else from you and this is the logical next step, and there are a lot of 10K programs out there that are, like, very average and probably not worth, like, don't come with any time with the person who's running the program. It's all, like, run by assistant coaches that actually don't have real world experience. Like, there's a lot of that out there. And so part of my distaste for doing it myself is just like, I don't want to sell snake oil because there are a lot of people selling that particular brand of snake oil.
Sure. Okay. I just want to throw one idea at you, or just, I want to tell you about something that I'm doing that has really, really up-leveled my program. So I have a program currently, it's $6,400 and it's 9 months. And it helps you run your own ads. and actually like make as much of your ad spend back as possible. I'm not even promising that you're going to make like 10x your investment on the ads. It's let's see if we can just subsidize your ad spend, because like, I know, you know, that lead generation is super important.
Everything.
Yeah. So I launched it, and I launched it at a lower price, knowing that I would increase the price. But one of the things I did fairly quickly, because I know just how important copy is, messaging is in all of that. Like, it's not just the ad setup of the audience, but like almost more of it is messaging and just like really tight copy. I hired a copy coach who's a conversion copywriter. So she knows more about that than I do. You should see the Facebook group just blows her up every day, because people can submit their work, like 2 things every single week. And she's just like, here's how to improve it. So she's one of the most expensive like line items, right? In my monthly P&L or whatever, but it has really increased the value. So no, it doesn't have to be you all the time. Because like, given the fact that I do want to grow this group and continue, if I were like trying to give people really good feedback, I mean, she spends a while. It's impressive. And I just say, do it, because this is how people are going to improve. She's not getting paid like what some of these assistant coaches would, with no real world experience, would be paid. So I just want to throw that out there. I got, this is something that I learned from Mariah Kaz, but even like that decision to make this higher instead of the full-time, low salary person, it hurts, quote unquote, my profits, but it makes the program so much better. So anyway, want to throw that out there.
This is important. And I also, to actually even further develop this, like, I do have my salaried employees. They do support my students in email stars, and particularly around technical questions, because it's been so long since I was like creating tags and segments, and like, I know how to explain what needs to be done. However, to actually do it, like, I literally have no clue. And it is such an important part of their growth. Like, if they can't figure that out, it doesn't matter if they have like they have a high level view of what they should be doing. If I don't know what button to hit in MailChimp, like, it's never going to get done. And my team, they actually do a beautiful job of supporting our students and getting them the answers they need using whatever software they're using.
Great. Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Great.
Because I am learning about all of the programs out there that are just, what was the word? Mediocre or
snake oil?
No, but just like, people are investing a huge amount and then finding that it's not what they expected. Subpar. But, I don't think it has to be.
Agreed.
At that price point, at that, and you mentioned that your profits are not where they were before, your percentage or whatever, but sometimes making those decisions about like who to get in for support and paying a little bit more for that goes a really long way, and then it doesn't put that on you, because I feel like you and I have had these conversations where the higher touch programs feels like a lot on you, and you kind of feel the responsibility for their results.
Yeah.
And I've been there. I've really been there. It's still something I work on, but
yeah. And I also think like the more beginner the group, the more like they can't really support each other as much. So there's more reliance on the leader of the group. Like in the group, the mastermind group that I'm currently in, like we have a leader this is Kate Northrup's Origin Mastermind, in case people are wondering. Our leader is doing a beautiful job at like giving direction and creating a container for the work that we do together. But it is truly a mastermind in that, like, we are supporting each other. We are sharing ideas. And a lot of masterminds aren't like that. They're more like a group coaching program. So that also is an important distinction, like what level in terms of the level of commitment, because beginners just need so much support and they need it in every area.
And you know what? There are more beginners than any other level. So it is easier to build a list of beginners. It is cheaper to build a list of beginners.
Yes.
But then, it is this kind of age-old question. It's not age-old. It's really just a question I came up with. But, what is the thing that you create for this audience? Is it a self-study course because that's going to be more accessible? Is it something where they get more support, but it is more expensive? And therefore, sometimes the franticness, that's the wrong word, but just like the anxiety about whether or not they're going to be able to actually move forward and make progress and make their money back. It's like that can feel heightened because we aren't talking about people who already have, a good chunk of business savings or reserves that they're not hustling every single month. So it is a question I ask myself all the time.
And will continue to.
Hey, so before we get back to the rest of this episode, I want to talk real quick about that private podcast feed that I mentioned at the very beginning of the show. This is where we're going to be putting free trainings of ours, which means you don't pay anything, just like you can listen to this podcast for free, but you can actually learn about putting together a Facebook or Instagram ad that actually makes you some money in your business, okay? So the training is about an hour long. Yes, it includes a pitch for my DIY Facebook ad course, Absolute FB Ads. But the great thing is that you can get so much just from hearing about these 5 ads that I talk about and some of the ways to make them really, really effective. Okay, so you can sign up and then you can either watch the video or add the training to whatever your favorite podcast app is, and then just listen to it while you're doing the dishes or going for a walk or actually commuting if that's a thing you do. So head over to clairepels.com/5 ads. The number 5, the word ads, no spaces, you got it. And sign up there. This is your first step to finally understanding how Facebook and Instagram ads work. Cool? All right, back to the episode. Do you mind sharing one or two of these practices, these marketing practices that you'll no longer take part in?
Yes. Okay. Yes. So I first feel like I need to again mention Kelly Deals, who I've done a great deal of learning from. She has this mini course inside her program, and it's called Untangling the Oppressive Roots of Online Marketing.
Can you say that one more time? What's the name of it?
Untangling the Oppressive Roots of Online Marketing. It might not even be there anymore. She's told me before that she was going to re-record it or turn it into something else. Anyway, I first came to her and learned persuasion from her lens, which is different from my lens, but I just feel like I need to mention her name because a lot of my ideas sort of spun out from her, as well as Dr. Michelle Mazur. And specifically, I want to mention Dr. Michelle Mazur. I got this through Kelly Deals, but Dr. Michelle Mazur talks about using persuasion in proportion to the amount of risk involved. So if it's a $20,000 investment, well, that could potentially really be damaging to someone's financial health if it's not the right decision. And when the way persuasion is used online is it is so layered. As a copywriter, I'm so good at layering on all this persuasion, and I'll talk about what those tactics actually are in a second, but layering on so much persuasion that you actually take away your potential customer's ability to think critically about their spending decision. So what that might look like with email stars is okay, starting with the program sort of appears kind of suddenly. They don't really know it's coming. So they haven't had a lot of time to think about it, what it costs or all those things. And then you get on a webinar with me and then you hear the pitch and then you have 20 minutes to decide whether or not you want to spend $1,500. And we will incentivize you by giving you something extra. And you will also be looking at a countdown timer the whole time. Countdown timers some people appreciate them and many people feel very, very triggered by them. Like that is a lot of pressure, especially if it's big, red, and on screen right next to your face and the buy button. So like adding in all this scarcity and disappearing bonuses and things like, I used to have social proof that was like on the homepage of my website, it said, I made $12,000 from one email and I didn't do a webinar or a sales call or a blah, 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 blah. Just like social proof that generally gives the impression that I have a secret. And if you learn my secret, then you will be successful. There's just so much of that messaging in online business. Like you're just missing this one piece. If only you had this one piece, everything else would come together. So like I was doing that too, putting all of that, just like layering all of that on the promotion. And the more you layer all that on your promotion and combining this with like a very short window for people to decide, like 5 days or 6 days to decide whether or not they want to make this investment, what happens is you get a lot of impulse buyers. And some of those impulse buyers, it may be fine for them. They may be like, whoops, I better think more clearly next time. Others may take a lot longer to recover from a bad spending decision. They may not be able to buy the program they actually need for another 12 months or whatever. And, you know, coming back to this conversation about unconscious bias, like those poor spending decision, like the effect of all that persuasion and getting people to buy something against their better judgment, the effects of that fall particularly hard on the most marginalized people in your audience who don't have the same level of access to credit, for example, as I do. Like if I bought a expensive program, like let's say I'm early days in my business and I spent $10,000. I'm like, oh, that was a bad decision. I really need this other thing. Like, yes, like I could go and get access to that money through family, through a bank, through whatever. Like, so that was like Kelly Deals really opened up that lens for me. And I started to think about how I'm using persuasion. And I do not think that inherently any single form of persuasion is bad. Like scarcity is fine. Like if you legitimately can only take 5 people, that's fine to say I can only take 5 people. And here's the sign up button. However, what like people who don't have scarcity will often use it because they think they're supposed to. And there's just a lot of that I started to listen to the voices of people who have been uncomfortable for a long time with the way online marketing is done. And they have like tried to replicate these systems and they didn't work because deeply they are uncomfortable. And specifically my best friend, we sort of started the online side of our business at the same time. And she like really got taken in to Jeff Walker's world and like bought his 10K program, which was not helpful at all for her and not what she needed and didn't really turn out to be valuable to her at all. And then also was like spending all this money, like trying to implement the system and like, it's not, paying other people to do it and just got soaked, just got totally soaked. And I was like standing by watching her get soaked. And at the same time, like doing all the things and they were making me a lot of money. And so I just sort of like didn't look at that and was like, oh, she's not doing it the right way, or she doesn't have the writing skills that I do. I just sort of didn't look at that. And then last year I was like, no, some of these people have a point. And maybe I have to look at that because I am participating in this and I am using all this persuasion. So like this year when we launched Email Stars, it looked very different. We did not do fast action bonuses. We added bonuses instead of taking them away. We used countdown timers very sparingly. Like we used them in emails, but you actually had to turn them on if you wanted to see them. And then we did like, we would run, I think there may have been on a countdown timer on the sales page, but instead of just running it at the end when there's no time left, we also run it at the beginning. So people know like, oh, I actually have, we had a longer window to maybe 8 days or something for people to decide whether or not it was right for them. We also like in the month leading up to the launch, I said in so many emails, like, Email stars cost $1,500. We have several payment plans available with no markup, and it opens June 15th. It'll be open for 7 days or something like that. Just like really giving people lots of time to consider, to know like this is coming, to think about, do you want to make this investment? And that just felt so good. Like I felt fully on board with our marketing. We got phenomenal feedback from people who were so grateful, and feedback from other people who were like, I bought last year because of all those pressure tactics and I never opened it. Like, a lot of honesty and definitely a lot of like trust building with my audience. And at the same time, like with my program Copy Caboose, it's $500. And we probably will do some expiring bonuses. We won't have like, there's a small markup on the payment plan. Like I am giving myself grace to like do this in a way that feels good, and to see like, well, what if we tried this? How would that feel? How would that work? Like, I'm not going back to, using every single tactic. However, I also want people to know, like, you get to decide, like, it's your business. You get to decide what marketing tactics you are comfortable with and which don't feel good. And it's important to honor that part of you that says, this doesn't feel good. This isn't sitting right with me. Just because a coach that I paid $10,000 to is telling me to do this, like, if I don't feel right about it, like, listen to that voice. So like, I didn't even have that voice. Like, oh my God, I feel like I had to develop it, but now it's firmly in place. And also it's built into our mission and values. So my company will remind me if I'm like, let's do this thing. Try this thing. This is really cool. Like maybe Ginger on my team, she'll be like, oh, Tarzan, like you kind of said this like 6 months ago. Like, are you sure you're okay with that? And it's an ongoing conversation. What are we willing to do to make a sale? What are we not willing to do? And what's fair for the customer?
Do you have revenue goals now?
Well, we did this year. Have revenue goals that we are far from. We just sort of assumed our growth would continue like it has in previous years. We're coming up on our annual meeting, and I think we'll set some revenue goals. Yeah, I have some big life changes coming up that require revenue. So I think revenue goals are a good idea. Do you?
Do I have them?
Yeah.
Very loosely.
Yeah, loose. Yeah, we have goals for so many things, like goals for list growth, goals for IG growth, revenue growth. Well, those are our three main things. But to be honest, I find it a bit depressing because we revisit them constantly. And I'm like, oh God, we're at 50% of our goal and we're 80% of the way through the year. Like, this is painful.
You know what has worked for me this year? Because I think I'm on track to meet my like pretty low goal. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I think, and because I don't regularly revisit them. I mean, I look at like year to date revenue all the time. So my goal was like hire a full-time assistant and be able to take a few vacations. Mm-hmm. And I have done both of those things. And I've actually gone beyond what I sort of needed. Well, no, in order to take those vacations, I needed to have more team than just like the full-time assistant. So take-home pay is important to me, you know, and I do want to keep growing that. But I also have this like thing where I just love having the business savings grow. So I don't.
Yes.
And therefore the revenue, like if I don't increase what I'm paying myself, I almost don't have the fire under my ass because like I have this, cushion.
Yes. I myself, like a real saver. I mean, I'm a real spender too. Gosh, I love spending money. However, I learned some good saving skills. I worked with Amber Duggar years ago, and that has reverberated throughout my business. So I do love to have my business savings, and man, have I been grateful for them in the last year. Like that savings has been holding me through these changes. Like, I feel like, yes, it requires bravery to say no to revenue and to make changes, but like that, I felt incredibly supported by my business savings. And I'm so grateful that I had it, like, especially with COVID, the whole world turning upside down and like nothing feels the way it used to. So I also am very motivated by having savings. And my goals are like, I thank you for mentioning that. Like, I do have goals that are far more important than making money. Like I, experimented with working 3 days a week, and like, that was a goal and I did it, and I found I didn't really like it, went back to 4. And then now I'm actually doing 5 days, except I work at 5 a.m. So my days are much shorter. Like those sort of small goals, those to me are far more interesting. We also we have quarterly projects. So those are, every quarter there's there's goals for this, that, or the other thing. So we do a lot of planning, and our annual revenue goal is among the least meaningful of any goal that we have.
5 a.m. What the fuck, Tarzan? Are you getting up? You're starting your workday at 5 a.m.?
Yes, I am.
So what time are you getting up?
5. I get up at 5. I get up at 5. I go jump in the pool. I haven't even been doing that lately, but typically what I would do is get up at 5, jump in the pool for literally 2 minutes, dry off, get my clothes on, make a coffee, come upstairs. My coffee takes 5 minutes. I have an espresso machine. I come upstairs, I meditate for maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops. I'm like, my brain's already going. I'm ready to start. And I work till about 8 o'clock. That's when I get the best work done. I work till about 8. I come downstairs, I hang out with my children, and I usually back to work in about 45 minutes. And then, I have appointments. We have a team meeting every day. And I usually I don't take any appointments after 2 for the most part, because I want to be able to finish my day by 2. Yeah. And this is new for me. I always thought people who get up at 5 are like so ridiculous. I was like, peak performance is bullshit. I love sleeping. But I felt like this is a few months back, I felt like I was really in a scheduling rut. And I was like feeling exhausted at 5 o'clock after work. Actually, I've been feeling that way for years, but I was just feeling like I had nothing left in me at 5 o'clock. Like it just used up and like the day's over. Like I didn't feel like I could do something. And since I started getting up at 5, I exercise way more, because I'll exercise maybe after work, or I'll go for a hike with a friend. I'll go swim in my friend's pond. I just it's partly summer too. So we do a lot more in summer in general, but I have so much more of a life than I ever did before. And I work more or less the same number of hours.
Wow. What time do you go to bed at night?
I would say a few times a week I go to bed at 9. And then a few times a week I go to bed closer to 10 or 11. Yeah. It's a mix. I know when I need to catch up, and it's also it's weird. I don't seem to need as much sleep as I thought I did. I was getting a lot of sleep prior to getting up at 5 a.m. So, and then sometimes I know yep, you're pushing it too far. You really have to go to bed now.
That pool dip in the morning, is that just to wake up?
Yeah. Well, I started 5 a.m.s in the spring, and the pool would have been super cold. So it was a good, to wake me up. But then I just liked having a little bit of movement, even if it was only for 2 minutes, just moving my body, that felt really good. So yeah, it's basically just to wake up. Although I haven't done it once this week. I feel like I've slowly been tapering off with the pool dips. Maybe that seems to happen in August for people with pools. I don't know, you're maxed on pool. There'll be a revival in September.
Let me ask you, completely unrelated to business, talk to me about owning a pool. Is it a total bitch? I mean, is it worth it, Ms. I live in Canada, so I can really only use it 2 months a year?
Yeah, our pool, our pool is unheated, and I am a cold water person. I do cold water dips as well. So yes, it's partly because our summer is so short. We want to maximize it. I have 2 small children. Many days in the summer, we swim 3 times a day. And the pool, my husband and I divide and conquer. I'm usually the one that skims and vacuums, and he's the one that deals with actual pool problems. But we've had a few major-ish things, one time the liner ripped, but it's not the big deal that I would imagine people think it is. It's really pretty easy.
I'm a little surprised you don't have somebody who handles pool maintenance.
Yeah, I know. Yes, we have housekeeping, we have lawn care. Pool maintenance, I don't know. I actually don't know anyone with a pool that even has that. I enjoy it. That's one thing, is like, I like vacuuming the pool. I'm like, this is a fun job for me. So it's never been enough to really like, oh, I got to get someone to do this.
All right. So let's talk about money. Where are you at approximately for like year to date? We are at the end of August now. And I assume this will air before the end of 2021.
Yeah. So that means that we have 1 month left in our financial year, which ends at the end of September. And I'm a bit like a person who doesn't want to look at her credit card bill because she's scared. I am like, what could this mean? But if I had to guess, I would say we're probably between 650 and 750,000 in revenue for the year.
In Canadian or US?
In Canadian. Yeah, in Canadian. And we have one more launch coming up before the end of our financial year. So, maybe we'll like, my dream is that we could end around 800,000 for the year. Yeah.
What about your take home pay? What is that per month? Or does it vary?
No, my take home pay is very consistent. So it's total about $230,000 a year. And then in previous years, I actually haven't raised my salary in the last year, but in previous years, I would have taken, like last year, we renovated our basement. So I took like a $30,000 bonus. This year, I haven't really taken any bonuses. I didn't even take out money to do an RSP contribution. So it probably is legitimate 230,000.
And how did you come to that number?
Again, I worked with Amber Duggar, and I actually did like a budget of things that I wanted to do in my life and I wanted to do in my business. And I came up with like a base salary that I felt like I could afford. And this was probably 3 years ago. And then I just continued to give myself raises over the years as I felt like I could manage more money and use it responsibly. And obviously like more children and, life expenses, or maybe me thinking that I had more legitimate expenses. But yeah, it did start with a legit calculation, though. To be fair, I haven't revisited that in a long time.
Okay. And, as all business owners, I know that like team is the biggest expense for you. So just who's on your team now? And are they full-time, part-time contractors?
So I have a full-time assistant, and she has been with me for nearly 2 years. I would have hired her in September 2019. She's incredible. So grateful to her. I tell her almost every day. So that's my one team member. I have another full-time person who is our content developer. And she designs a ton of assets. She does social media. She does like a lot of promotional graphics and things like that. She's very gifted. And then we have our latest addition. I wish I knew what her title was. It's something like technical assistant, but my person who has been with me the longest is a contractor, and she manages everything. She is like I'm the owner, but she is the boss. Like she runs, she does hiring. She does training. Like she's the one running meetings. She's the one my employees go to when they have questions. And she also she has long played the integrator role, but she also has done most of the implementation. So this new person that we hired, she's learning all these technical, like all the software and software integrations and setting up emails and all those things, so that my business manager actually can be in that role and not actually in the management role and not in the implementation role. So that last person, she's been with us for maybe 2 or 3 months. She's new. So the core team is my assistant, my content developer, my tech person, and the manager and me. So we're a team of 5.
All right. Talk to me a little more about this content developer. So just based on what you were saying, it kind of sounds like mostly she does graphic design.
Yes, mostly graphic design, but she also she can actually like she does create things like, for example, one of the bonuses for email stars was a launch debrief. And she will take all of our data in a spreadsheet and like organize it in like a beautiful PDF in a visual way. So it's not like she's just taking a thing and making it beautiful. She actually is creating assets more than just design. She also is like our eyes and ears in the industry. Like she follows everyone. She knows what everyone is doing. She remembers things that I made 5 years ago. Like she has an incredibly valuable role. She's also just a good brainstormer. She's the one that came up with the idea for Tarzan Reads Her Emails.
I just wanted to ask you about Tarzan Reads Her Emails.
Yes.
I am loving it. All right. So this is your content developer's idea, and tell people what this is. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Tarzan Reads Her Emails is the audio version of my weekly emails. So my weekly emails are my primary content. Like it's the weird thing in my business, in the structure of my business, that my best content is actually gated, which is not ideal. But there it is. Like that's what if you want to read Tarzan's stuff, like that's where my best stuff is being created. And we just wanted to like appeal to people who aren't readers, who prefer to listen, and also to do something unique that no one else is doing. We had, bless her, Ginger had entered us in a contest that Hello Audio, which is the software we use. Hello Audio is running this contest. Ginger entered and we got a free account. We now have a paid account, but we had a free account. And she was like wanting to do something with it. And she came up with this idea. And I was like, yes, I love it. I actually love recording my emails. It improves my writing. It's also like great for accessibility. There's just a lot that I love about it. Tarzan Reads Her Emails. It's probably my favorite project of the whole year.
And does she do I just saw, I don't know if it's your latest Instagram post, but it's the one where you're talking about like not having a big aha moment like you were expecting to, but it was like a little video where then there was an image.
She makes all of that.
Okay, she makes that.
Yes, she makes all of that. And lately she also has been even doing the copy, just pulling copy from my emails and like strategically recycling things because like, gosh, content just has such a short shelf life. And sometimes I'm like, why am I writing more stuff? Like, this is ridiculous. I have like hundreds of thousands of words of content. So she's really just taken the reins on that, which has been really good. It's been very freeing. I think it's mostly because she's trying to get me to do more reels. She's like, I'll handle this. You make reels.
Okay. So thank you for making my point for me that I'm constantly making about the shelf life of content and just making more. So that brings us to what's going on with your ads. I mean, you created this great lower price offer, AKA slow funnel or whatever.
Yes. So it's great to have your opinion on this. Here's what's going on. We have this product, the Course Launch Copy Kit, which has a bump. It's $27. It has a $17 bump and a $97 upsell. And we started running it in December of last year. So it's been running for a while. And let's say we may have spent like, I don't know, $100,000 on it. And we are currently at 13,000. We look at these numbers every day. We are at $13,000 profit. So we made it all back and we're at 13,000 profit. Yes. Great. Yeah, I'm thrilled. And I'm thrilled. And also it's incredibly slow because we don't spend a ton of money on ads. So I have been like, why
so you get like how many sales a day?
Well, I could tell you. It varies.
No, what I'm just curious about, because this is my objection to this type of funnel is, like you said, if you're not spending a ton, then you're not bringing in that many leads a day. I mean, because that's essentially what you're getting. You're getting paid to list build, which is my whole, like, that's what I love. And you're even making money off of it, but it's slow going
as molasses. Yeah. Like I'm seeing our sales per day range from like, it's like anywhere from 2 to 10 sales a day. So, average number of people who actually join, who say yes to the list is 86%. So that's good. That's high, but not even all those people are even joining the list. Some of them. Yeah. So I don't know, like, I love this product and I really want it to be the darling of my business and generate lots of leads. We haven't tried like really pumping money into it to see if that return on ad spend can hold.
Why not?
Yeah. Why not? Like, ask our ads manager. I don't know why not. I can't remember. We're going to. That's definitely in the cards. Yeah.
Okay. That is awesome. I mean, people, the beauty, I love this now. You all listeners, you all can go to the Facebook ad library, Google Facebook ad library, put in Tarzan K. You can see the ad she's running. You can buy this like copy. It's a course launch copy kit. Is that?
Yes.
Click. I call it Click.
Yes. Yeah. When is this going to air? Sometimes I just want to say, sometimes we turn the ads off. Like we're coming up to the launch of Copy Caboose, and we do have a wonderful Facebook ads manager. I hope I didn't imply otherwise. She's great. And, she usually advises us to turn our ads off like during a launch so that we're not competing with ourselves.
No, that makes total sense. But no, this will probably air after your launch. Okay, but I just wanted to call it out because I bought it and it is great.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Bless you for saying that. Sometimes I'm like, is it really great? I think it is, but I'm not sure. Yeah. And we're proud of that product. It is well worth the money. Well worth it.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. So then what would you say is next for you? You know, besides closing out your financial year, getting through the holidays, which may or may not be easy for you. I know that I always feel a little bit discombobulated and I'm just like, when New Year's has come and gone.
Yes.
What's next for you?
You know, Claire, I wish I knew. And in full transparency, like, I'm in a weird place right now. You know, like, I'm dealing with a lot of feelings that I have about this industry and my place in it. And I mean, it's summer at the time of recording. Like, my employees, we gave them a 4-day work week for July and August. And I'm not really on reduced working hours, but you know, it's summer. It's not my time to make really big moves. I am about to make a really big move in my personal life that I feel like will probably open up the way for my business. But I am just like, we've done a lot this year. We've developed a lot of we laid a lot of foundation. I don't really know what I want to build yet. And I do, because I've been working with Kate Northrup for 2 years. Well, I was in her mastermind for a year. Now I'm in joined for another year. And she talks a lot about cyclical planning and basically our businesses having seasons and comparing those seasons to the female menstrual cycle. And the seasons are, or you could compare it to our, the actual weather seasons around the world. It's it's a cycle. So there's no place to start, but just for fun, let's start at the phase before ovulation. It's ideas are coming in, you're thinking about things that you want to do. You're maybe getting in the energy of starting things, getting ready. And then the ovulation phase is you're out into the world. Here's my thing, launch. Do you want it?